There's only one convo today about sports.
That's right.
And it's about how these awards go about being given in these titles. Bill Belichick, officially not a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer. Is the Pro Football Hall of Fame because they like to carry themselves. And we have met all the people that operate the Hall of Fame. These people love ball. They love the Hall of Fame. But it precedes the NFL, so it's Pro Football Hall of Fame over there in Canton. It's a lot of things, the history of the game and everything like that. The people that do the voting for who gets in there, it certainly feels like are kind of getting exposed right now for maybe, holding some personal biases against people instead of, just giving out a vote of who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick, if he's not a first ballot contributor, because it's players and then there's like contributors. This is where coaches, GMs, contributions to the game. I think Madden went through this and also as a coach. I think that is how he went through. So there's different categories of how you get in. Coaches, GMs, and contributors, I think, are in their own kind of sphere, their own world. He could be two of those things. He could be a coach, first ballot Hall of Famer, and he could be a first ballot general manager Hall of Famer. I mean, if you were the guy who drafted Tom Brady at pick 199, who would go on to become the greatest and then make the decisions that you make with your roster and the turnover and the ability to kind of do salary cap gymnastics before everybody else, let alone all the Hall of Famers that he's drafted, coached, brought onto the team, had success with as a general manager alone, okay? And he'll say he had people helping him. He certainly did, okay? That every building. Turns out it's not just one person doing it, but the general managers take credit for the team that they've assembled to be able to do this. He would be first ballot Hall of Famer if you put his resume up just as a general manager. And then you go for a head coaching thing. That's what are we even talking about here? He's the guy. A lot of people have said, the Lombardi is certainly a good title. Mm-hmm. Everybody's hunting the Lombardi.
Oh, yeah.
Lombardi is an absolute legend. There's an argument to be made that should be called the Belichick. There's a conversation about his name potentially being on the trophy that you win whenever you beat everybody else in the league. And it's been a fascinating thing. Feels like everybody in the ball world has the same opinion. Feels like some of these media people high-horsing a little bit. Mm-hmm. Some of these people that have the power to write legacies, the power to change trajectories, the power to decide whether or not you're a first ballot or a second ballot or a Hall of Famer at all, maybe feel as if they're holier than thou. Maybe the way they see life is the only way to see life. Maybe the way they want things to be handled is the only way for things to be handled, because Bill Belichick was never really nice to the media. I mean, that was not a...
No, not his thing.
What's your tattoo you have on your bicep?
We're on to Cincinnati because they kept asking him about the previous game that they lost very poorly against Kansas City, and he just responded to every single question. We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, and every other press conference that he had, he was very joyful with the media, right? He loved talking to them.
Yeah, he wouldn't eviscerate them. He actually just decided to completely render them indifferent and not even answer their questions.
And that was just local people, national? Was that who was that?
That was across the board. You could go from preseason week 1 all the way till Super Bowl media week.
Okay, so that's potentially who makes up a large portion of who's doing the vote, because it's one writer from each city, I do believe. Then there's a select group of national reporters who cover the game that are selected to do the voting, and then there's like a senior at-large where Bill Polian, I believe Tony Dungy, a couple others, they also are in on the voting thing. Now, there was some mixed reporting last night that Bill Polian was the one that was fighting against it because Spygate, they did what we thought they did. Mm-hmm. They did the unthinkable. And as a person that was in a training camp and Bill Polian drafted me, so I'm very thankful for what Bill Polian did in my life. He saw me as a punter when I didn't think I was going to be a punter, but getting a chance to kind of watch him operate in training camp whenever we were outside, there was multiple conversations that happened about maybe a plane flying a little bit too low or too slow. It's Belichick. Somebody sitting in the crowd, okay, with a hat on, looking a little bit too interested. That's Belichick. There was a ultimate kind of fear that there was somehow getting hacked. There was something happening from the team up in New England. So whenever it comes out that Bill Polian was standing on a table basically saying, we aren't letting him be your first ballot for our thing, and maybe others follow suit because he do that, I was fascinated, but I thought it was believable. Then there was an immediate report afterwards that said, just talk to Bill Polian. He said, absolutely not. That's totally and categorically untrue. I voted for him. Then there was another article that came out from Don Von Natta Jr., who was at the bottom of this entire thing. Yep. And he says, Bill told me, man, I don't remember it like that. But then he also said 95% sure he voted for him. Bill Polian, I will say, and I'm just learning he still does radio. He's the man who drafted me. Obviously, I watched tail end of his career as well, whenever the Colts thing there. Interacting with him right now, I don't know if Bill Polian 100% knew that he was going to be on the record whenever he's talking to Don Van Nauten. Now, Don Van Nauten, a good journalist, probably told him he was going to be on the record, but Bill Polian, I 95% sure. I don't know if Bill Polian knew for sure that everybody was going to immediately go, bullshit, we know that you didn't do it. And then now the question leads, to get into the Hall of Fame, you have to get 40 of 50 votes. Okay, we know who the 50 voters are. That's been projected everywhere across the internet now.
Yeah.
Because everybody would like to know who doesn't deserve to have a say in this thing. Who are the people that get a vote for the Hall of Fame, which is a massive ordeal for everybody that plays in the sport. Who is mistreating or who is disrespecting their position in having the say in the matter? Everybody on earth seemingly is viewing it the same way. And maybe this is how you actually enact some change. And Bill Belichick, whenever he was coaching for the New England Patriots, he came out and talked. I assume they're playing in the Hall of Fame game. He came out and talked about how his parents were from Ohio and he used to visit the Hall of Fame. Here's him talking about it.
My parents are from Ohio, from outside of Cleveland. And so we regularly went to the Hall of Fame in Canton. And my dad knew a couple of the people there that, he had known from his Ohio connections. And we would go down into the basement of the Hall of Fame, and they would show us their collection of books, which was, other than the Library of Congress, I think it's the largest collection of football books.
You're talking about a guy who loves ball, loves the Hall of Fame. And I think he understands the Hall of Fame isn't its voters. The Hall of Fame is the museum that is kept by people who love ball. But it's certainly an interesting thing as somebody who loves history of ball, knowing that he's not going to be a first ballot. We reach out to Bill. Sounds like Bill is still a massive fan of the Hall of Fame, understands the history, the tradition. I think he didn't really say that he was confused by it all, but he certainly wasn't, he wasn't like up. He wasn't letting, they were recruiting. I mean, he was out recruiting. He's just going to kind of move on. I think that's what Bill Belichick kind of does in this entire thing. But it has provided an opportunity for a lot of people who have a lot of respect for Bill Belichick to come out and go to bat for him when maybe over the last year and a half or so, they have felt a little shy to do as such. So this has really seemingly been the one where everybody's kind of like, man, they've been kind of burying this guy for a long time. And then all of a sudden, he's not. So Bill Belichick's not a Hall of Famer? Okay. It kind of feels like the one that kind of tipped the thing where everybody's like, we need to stop the disrespect and the slander of Bill Belichick for what he did in New England. So in the end, I think publicly this might be a good thing for Bill Belichick that's happening because everybody's kind of rallying around it. But ultimately, legacy-wise, Bill Belichick, is he worth a damn? He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah. Let's go to the table at Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt. Con Man, massive Patriots fan. Your thoughts on it all?
I think it's cool to see what you just mentioned. Everybody basically coming out and saying, hey, the Hall of Fame is not a crock of shit, but it is completely tainted. I think it's interesting the standard that they're holding Bill to. Mahomes tweet there. LeBron James, I believe he also tweeted and basically said, like, what are we talking about? So seeing everybody universally agree on something, I don't know if we've had that possibly ever, especially in the last, 10, 15 years, 10, 15 months. But also just the two eras, thinking about the coaching changes just between his first 3 Super Bowls to his last 3 Super Bowls. I mean, it's remarkable. And in the end, he will be in the Hall of Fame.
D-Butch, 9-year NFL vet. I consider you to be one of the smartest ball knowers of all time. I assume you attribute a lot of that to the time in which you're with Bill Belichick and how they went about doing your business and then obviously developed in your own ways there. But for this travesty to happen in a popularity contest. Now, congratulations on getting in the Broward County Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you to the voters as well.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that's voted upon.
Yeah.
It's always an interesting feeling. Like, for me, I never won these votes, okay? So I think all awards that involve people voting and the people that are doing the voting normally hate my guts. Like, I didn't even win Male Athlete of the Year at my high school. I had scholarship offers in 3 sports. I don't know how often that happens. And my school is not, like, pumping out athletes all the time. Voted by teachers. Okay, so that didn't happen. Ray Guy Award, okay, that's where I met this guy, 12-year NFL vet, AQ Shipley. The guy who won didn't even have enough punts to qualify, really, for an average on the internet, but it was just no way is that asshole winning. So, like, I have been on the wrong side of a lot of these votes, so it kind of makes me feel like, who cares? Who cares? We got to judge the people that are doing the voting, but getting that honor bestowed upon you for your legacy is obviously something that is very, very special.
Yeah.
So I've kind of always been indifferent about these titles that are voted on by people that I don't think understand what's going on and the reality of the situation. But this particular predicament, it feels like everybody's kind of viewing it the same way. And it's like, how do you think you are too good to put in the greatest of all time, there has to be a flaw in the system of some sort. If that makes sense, D-Buck.
This is an absolute joke, and you've heard people, you mentioned anybody who knows ball, whether you hate the Patriots, whether you hate Belichick, Tom, everyone has come out and said pretty much the same thing. I grew up a Dolphin fan. I'm a Don Shula guy, perfect season, Super Bowl, all that. Don Shula is obviously one of the GOATs. But when you talk about coaching, GM, a contributor, there is no one who tops the list, it's even really a debate when it comes to Bill Belichick. The same way it is with Tom Brady and quarterback, in my opinion. So this is a joke. And then the part of it about like how much he respects and love and how much reverence he has for the game of football. We all remember like the top 100 when he was sitting at the table in NFL films and him just going through all of the football. I remember being a player, probably my rookie year, we were going to play either the Packers or the Lions, and this dude had on film from like the 1950s, talking about, I believe it was the Packers, talking about the evolution of the forward pass and the history of Lambeau and all these different things. So this is the type of guy he is the coach. We always felt more prepared than the other team. I can't this and that. I thought the rules were changed for Bill Belichick to be able to go into the Hall of Fame
earlier.
Like literally, I thought this was why it was changed. Same thing with Kraft as an owner, but Bill being left off first ballot. We've seen it happen with players. Terrell Owens is the first one that comes to mind. Like he was, I thought, a no-brainer first ballot, but we know his relationship with the media, so we thought maybe it would be some of that. But this is a joke. This is an absolute joke. It's a sham. It's a mockery.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of words that you could use to describe it, and they'd all be accurate, especially if it seems like it's a fraud. Like, and now everybody's questioning the Hall of Fame as a whole, which is not good, because the Hall of Fame is a special place. The Hall of Fame is a special jacket to wear. 12-year NFL vet, Super Bowl champion, player coach Jackie Moon of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. AQ Shipley. AQ, obviously you were a 7th-round draft pick as well. You did win the Remington that night. Congratulations. You deserved it back there whenever we were doing the ESPN College Football Awards down in Orlando. Great time. Your thoughts on Bill Belichick not getting in there, and now the conversation that's surrounding the Hall of Fame as a whole, because that did seemingly become the thing. When the voters aren't the Hall of Fame, though, the voters are just kind of handed the baton of who gets in and who doesn't. There's a lot of olds in there that have been around a long, long time that I wonder if they start to think that it's their Hall of Fame as opposed to pro football's Hall of Fame, kind of an ownership type deal because we've been here so long and this is kind of our world. I think they kind of get excited about that type of power. I think there are certainly some people in those positions that have that.
Yeah, certainly. And I think my thoughts echo everybody else's sentiments. I mean, listen, Bill Belichick's arguably the greatest person, not just GM, not just coach, the greatest person that's ever been involved in football. And I know every single time I played him as a player, never beat him, always went into those games thinking, yeah, we're going to beat him. And then you come out of the game and you lose 49-7. It's like, of course we weren't going to beat him. He was going to take away our best player. He was going to bracket this guy. He was going to make us play with our left hand. And there was no chance of us beating him. But again, you just look at his record and you look at his time in New England. It seemed as if they were in the Super Bowl every other year. And if you look at the numbers, it basically comes down to that. I know it doesn't work out that way, but I think it was 10 Super Bowl appearances or Super Bowl
whatever,
AFC
your
championship.
point remains.
You get what it is, right? Yeah. But I mean, I think whenever you think about Bill Belichick, it's not just the greatest head coach. It's not just the greatest GM. It's not just the greatest contributor. He might be the greatest person that's ever been involved.
Offense coordinator, because he met with Tom. You're talking special teams, obviously, had great knowledge. So
16 conference championships.
There it
coach is. 3 as a coordinator, 13 as a head coach. That was a Himbo
great
question.
Trivia. Here's another stat from Himbo. Bill Belichick has an above 500 record against every NFL team in the NFL. He beat everybody. And I mean, the list goes on and on about accolades, but also just topical references. We would meet a new head coach that got a job somewhere, and our immediate reaction would be, that guy's going to beat Belichick? That was literally...
Yeah,
that guy's going to beat Belichick. It was almost like Bama. It was very similar to like Bama is in college. Everybody gets big wins like we want Bama. That's what it was with Saban. In the NFL, it was like they're going to beat New England. And Bill was the general manager and the coach and sounds like potentially partially DC whenever he was there on the entire. This is wild to think about. But remember, people of these ilk are voting on a lot of things. So we got to remember that.
Quarterback coach, too. Don't forget that. Tom Brady always talks about how critical he was to him, his evolution as a quarterback, and then obviously drafting him, but then making that decision to go from Drew Bledsoe, who was a top pick, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, to move on and go with the young Tom. We never get that with 90% of the head coaches that have been in that position.
And there's a story, we talked about him being coordinator and, head coach because that's the two of the three main jobs. GM, of course, being off the field, up in the booth, but on the field. When Lawrence Taylor, when he was with the Giants, before he became the DC with the Giants, there's a story about how they hired Belichick, and he was either a defensive assistant or a special teams assistant, and Lawrence Taylor went in to the front office. He's like, hey, what the hell are we doing? Like, I'm not going to be, taking my orders from this young Bill Belichick guy. Like, why the hell would I do that? And they told Lawrence Taylor, like, no, the defenses that you've been running the past 2 years, this guy is the one that's been making them, giving them to the defensive coordinator, and you've had your most successful seasons. Like, it's not even just when he is in those positions. So you really can't even fathom what he does contribute, and that goes to what D-Butt says. Like, he can coach any single position.
Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is a man who had the same thoughts as us. Can't wait to hear him depicted because he's a future first ballot Hall of Famer.
Maybe.
Well,
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's right. Maybe if you're lucky enough to have similar mindset and ideals as the people who are voting you in to a fraternity that they are not in, but act as if they own, ladies and gentlemen, J.J. Watt.
Yeah,
Jage, one day you'll get into this media-run Hall of Fame, not the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Media Voter Hall of Fame. Maybe you will.
I don't know.
Maybe you will. You're tweeting a bit too much. You're getting a little loud on Twitter.
Yeah,
Careful.
That's what I'm saying. Did I tweet a little too loud? Did I upset the apple cart a little too much? I mean, what are we doing?
Okay, so you have the same reaction as everybody else. Whenever Don Von Natta Jr., DVN Jr., reported it, I thought it was fake. I'm like, well, how's he know? How's this? Do we already know who it is? Next Thursday night, I believe, they'll be naming the official Hall of Famers. We might have them on program Friday morning for a game show, actually. Now, do we have a spot reserved, just in case there is a change of opinion before now and then? We shall see. So them reporting that he wasn't in there early, I thought it was a lie. But then as it was getting picked up and repeated, it was like, how is this even possible? Jage, this does feel like the one that felt like a surefire lock that goes the other way. And sometimes you need that type of situation to kind of drive a little change in something. Do you think there's any way to fix this, change this? Or what is kind of your thoughts of the current reality of the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Yeah, no, there, like you just said, there are literally like 2-3 people in history that are absolute no-brainer locks whatsoever, Bill and Tom being 2 of those. And I saw something where one of the voters was like, why should the votes be released? What are you going to do? Because you shouldn't have a vote. If you have Bill Belichick not making the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you should not have a vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The guy has 8 Super Bowl titles. There's only been 59 of them. He's got 8 rings from 59. Like, what are you doing? What qualifications do you want? How do you tell the story of the NFL without Bill Belichick? Yeah, if you didn't have him on your ballot, and I get this whole like, well, there was 3 spots and you can only put like, I don't care. If there's only 3 spots, Bill Belichick is spot number 1, point blank, period. You figure out who fits in the other 2. No other matter should happen. He is in the Hall of Fame, first ballot, no matter what. The guy beat me left, right, and center multiple times. I should have every reason to hate him. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer without question. This is stupid.
It feels like all the ball is coming out and saying this right now, because there's a lot of people, obviously, for the last year and a half or so, even the final years maybe at New England, who started to feel a certain way about Bill Belichick and how, the way he did handle the media and the way he operated in the public eye versus the way he operated with his team. It seems like very different, but in the public eye, he didn't want anybody to like him. He didn't care if anybody liked him. He's here to do a job. Let's keep it moving. Whenever you're not winning as much, whenever you act like that, people throw that in your face a lot. Like, hey, look at this, look at this. So people have really celebrated and danced on the downfall, almost in their eyes, of Bill Belichick. Now, Bill Belichick will say that he's building something in North Carolina that's going to be great. He was literally on the recruiting trail this morning. They tried to run him out of that job 100 times. I mean, there was multiple different things about that. Obviously, his personal life is talked about very, very loud. It feels like this is the first time where all of ball has come together and acknowledged Bill Belichick for what he is. Do you not agree with that, Jage?
It's hands down the best PR that he could have right now at a time where obviously it hasn't been the greatest PR for him the last year or two here with everything that's gone on. And it is a galvanizing. I mean, have you ever seen Twitter come together about anything 100% all together at one time? It's been incredible to watch this reaction because it's such it's such a no-brainer. This is, I mean, it's the stupidest
Now, for
thing
Bill
I've ever seen.
Belichick, I'm happy he's getting a chance to get his flowers.
Yes.
You know, and I hope he does
Yeah.
get to experience that, which is basically why I wanted to call this morning as they were on the recruiting show. I'm like, hey, I just want you to know, like, everybody is going to bat on your side for this. Like, I don't know how much you follow it. I don't know how much you know, but literally everybody in ball, including Hootie, Hootie is coming out. He's a Dolphins fan. He's coming out on your side. It does feel like he's getting a lot of flowers right now that maybe he didn't get because there's that documentary.
Well, yes.
There's the all the other stuff that kind of. It's been a very negative post-leave of New England for Bill Belichick.
And that's why after the documentary, which was 2 years ago, like not that long ago, after that documentary came out, everybody was basically like, hey, Robert Kraft, what the hell are you doing? Like, why did you guys decide to paint Belichick in this light? And a lot of people in New England had a lot of qualms with Bob Kraft for years because of how they painted him. So you'd assume that maybe they learned something from that, just not even, the Krafts, because the Krafts did. They basically called their mistake and hired Mike Vrabel. But you would assume other people would say, hey, everybody who tries to bury Bill in the end inevitably loses because all the football people know how much he means to the game as a whole. So the fact that they still came out and did this is ridiculous. And now if the reasoning, which maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't, if the reasoning is, Spygate and Deflategate, what is that set for next year with Tom Brady? Like what's the precedent there? Because he was a part of it.
I think he's 2 years, 2028, actually. That was me from earlier misquote. But it will be fascinating how the precedent is set now. How is the precedent set?
Didn't they let in 20 people like a couple years ago?
Yeah, post-COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID.
And then there was because there was a backup
There was
year.
like a class where there were 20 people going in, but Bill Belichick's not in. Like what? I mean, like if you got in, or like if you're in there, you're like, oh well, hang on a second. Should I even be here? Because Belichick's not here. Like, do I deserve to be here? No, because I don't have 8 rings. Like if I.
Oh,
if I
Jage
was
thinks
in
there's a
this-
chance he's not making it now. Jage is like, hold on now.
Well, he was using that thing.
The bionic arm.
That was-
Yeah.
I am curious though for like guys like JJ who you should unequivocally be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but after something like this comes out, like does that even matter anymore? Like it seems like the whole idea of being a first ballot Hall of Famer, like that doesn't mean shit anymore.
Well, that's what this does. Like that starts this conversation where it should never be a conversation. Like a first ballot Hall of Famer should be the most highest honor, biggest thing, and the guys that are no-brainers should be no-brainers. And now all of a sudden it's completely switched this whole mindset and it's turned the entire thing upside down. And to your point of how do you fix it, I don't know, because now we're just going to wait a year and they're going to have a vote and he's obviously going to get in next year and then they're going to do a ceremony like nothing happened and he's going to go up there and he's going to not act like these people didn't screw him the year before. And I'm sure he's going to he has such respect and reverence for
That's
the Hall
the
of Fame
thing,
that I'm
yeah.
sure he'll do it. But like, we're all just going to act like, oh, yeah, no.
No, we
you
won't.
go back tomorrow and you say, okay, commissioner's decision, we screwed up. I don't know how you fix this. This is absurd.
Well, and that's why like Bill Polian's taking it on the shins, but it wasn't just Bill Polian. Like I am under the assumption that if you needed 40 out of 50 votes, there were 10 to 12 people who had qualms with Bill, and they thought like, I'm going to be the only one. I'm going to be the one that doesn't vote him first ballot, so that when it comes out, it wasn't unanimous first ballot.
Heroes.
Yeah, heroes, exactly. And then turns out 12 people ended up having a qualm, and Bill Polian's taking it, and that's because he's the only one with his name on it and that has done an interview and stuff. And sure, if he didn't vote for him, whether he did or not, that doesn't matter as much. Like
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. But there are 11 other people.
Jage, please.
What?
Connor's in the middle. We don't need
He
you.
doesn't know.
No,
he
but he
said
did-
he doesn't
yeah.
know.
No, he's 95. He's pretty sure.
He doesn't know.
He's 95% sure. Okay? Is that not enough for you people?
He maybe shouldn't be voting anymore if that's the case.
I don't think you should be voting if you don't know who you voted for.
Jage!
That's fair.
He was 95% sure the guy woke him up. He was in the middle of a nap, just had some milk. He's 83, Ovaltine. He's 83 years old. We've seen this guy at these games, these Colts games. It is news to me that he's doing a radio show, okay? I'm very grateful for
It's
Bill.
news to him. He voted for the
Oh,
Fame.
right.
I saw
They
the
might
graphic, too.
have they might have woke him up from a nap and be like, "You like Bill?" And he's
I
like,
mean,
"Oh,
that's
no."
one vote I'm
And then
not
they just said
getting.
no.
I can tell you that. Clearly, I'm off his ballot in however many years.
I assume Bill
Maybe,
Polian has.
maybe not. Maybe he'll forget.